A 2022 study published in the American Journal of Hypertension found that regular consumption of ultra-processed canned foods was independently associated with a 20% increase in hypertension risk among adults over 55. That single finding should change how you shop. But crack open the wrong can, unwrap the wrong tortilla, or dip into the wrong appetizer, and what you're really consuming is sodium phosphates, hydrogenated oils, synthetic preservatives, and chemicals banned in countries that actually prioritize public health, all disguised as comfort food. For anyone managing blood pressure with daily medication, or families feeding these Mexican staples to kids and grandparents sitting at the same table, this is not dinner. This is a slow-moving health crisis dressed up in seasoning and nostalgia. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to expose 11 popular Mexican foods hiding dangerous ingredients most people never question, and reveal the two options that actually passed every safety test we could find. Stay until the end, because those two safe picks could change how you eat for good. Coming in at number 11, restaurant-style queso dip. That warm, glossy orange pour that arrives at your table before your meal even starts. Every Mexican chain in America sells it as a simple appetizer. Just melted cheese, right? Completely harmless. Except it's not cheese and it's not harmless. Restaurant queso is built on processed cheese product, loaded with sodium phosphates, artificial emulsifiers, and preservatives that were engineered in a laboratory, not a kitchen. A single serving at most chain restaurants contains over 900 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half the daily limit recommended for anyone already on blood pressure medication. And most people don't stop at one serving. The chips keep coming, the queso keeps flowing, and by the time the entree arrives, you've already done serious damage. Sodium phosphates are particularly harsh on kidneys. For people already managing reduced kidney function or taking ACE inhibitors, or families letting their kids scoop chip after chip into that bowl before dinner even starts, this appetizer is quietly wrecking your system before the main course arrives. Look at that dip the next time it hits your table. Real cheese doesn't pour like that. Real cheese doesn't hold that glossy, almost neon consistency under heat lamps for an hour without separating. That smoothness comes from chemical emulsifiers, forcing ingredients together that were never meant to blend. According to the American Heart Association, 80% of Americans over 50 already consume too much sodium daily. One bowl of restaurant queso can push you past your entire day's recommended limit in a single appetizer. They call it a starter. Your body calls it a sodium overload. Just a simple appetizer. Anything but simple. If an appetizer is hiding this much, surely the side dishes on your plate are safer. Think again. At number 10, canned refried beans, the store-bought kind that sits in nearly every American pantry. The label says traditional recipe. What it doesn't say is that most major brands use hydrogenated lard or palm oil, packing in saturated fat and trans fats that go straight to your arteries. Some store brands tested as high as 800 milligrams of sodium per half-cup serving, and nobody stops at half a cup. When you scoop refried beans onto a plate, you're getting a full cup minimum, which doubles every number on that nutrition label. For people managing cholesterol with statins, or anyone taking diuretics trying to keep blood pressure under control, this side dish is a direct conflict with your medication. You're swallowing pills every morning to bring your numbers down, while a scoop of beans pushes them right back up. That's not a side dish, that's a saboteur. Open the can and look at the surface. That slick, greasy film sitting on top is the hydrogenated fat separating out. That's not food. That's an industrial ingredient pretending to be dinner. Scrape it with a spoon and watch how it clings. Thick and waxy. Nothing like what you'd get if you mashed beans yourself at home with olive oil and garlic. The World Health Organization called for the global elimination of industrially produced trans fats by 2023. That deadline passed. The hydrogenated oils are still in your beans, still on the shelves, still in your kitchen. Traditional recipe, traditional deception. You just saw what the budget side dishes are hiding. So surely spending more on something as basic as a tortilla gets you something cleaner. Not even close. Now at number 9, store-bought flour tortillas from major brands. The mass-produced kind that fills entire grocery aisles. They look simple. Flour, water, salt. But flip that package over, and the ingredient list tells a completely different story. Hydrogenated oils, sodium aluminum sulfate, dough conditioners like azodicarbonamide. That last one is a chemical that is banned in the European Union and Australia for food use. Yet in the United States, it's perfectly legal and sitting in most flour tortilla brands on your grocery shelf right now. Hydrogenated oils contribute to arterial plaque buildup, the exact thing your cardiologist is trying to prevent. Azotic carbonamide has been linked to respiratory issues when inhaled in industrial settings, and serious questions remain about what it does when consumed regularly over years of taco nights and burrito wraps. For anyone taking heart medication daily, or families making taco night a weekly tradition with kids who eat 3 or 4 tortillas each, every soft wrap is delivering chemicals your body was never designed to process. Ever notice how those tortillas stay soft and pliable for weeks in your pantry? Real flour tortillas made with actual ingredients go stale in 2 days. That unnatural shelf life comes from chemicals designed to stop food from behaving like food, banned across the ocean, legal in your kitchen. That's the trade your government made on your behalf without asking. Why is the United States still allowing ingredients in everyday foods that other countries banned years ago? Drop a comment below. Most people never flip the package over. The companies are counting on exactly that. Check your pantry. Seriously, because the next entry is sitting in almost every American household, and you're probably going to use it this week. Here's where it gets personal. Number 8. Major brand taco seasoning packets. The packet says bold, authentic flavor, but the ingredient list tells a very different story. Maltodextrin is the first ingredient in most leading brands. Not cumin, not chili powder. Maltodextrin, then silicon dioxide, sodium caseinate, modified cornstarch, and enough sodium per serving to spike your blood pressure in one sitting. Some leading brands pack over 500 milligrams of sodium into a single 2-tablespoon serving, and most people use the whole packet, which means you're getting double or triple that amount spread across just a few tacos. Bold, authentic flavor. 5 chemicals deep before you reach an actual spice. If you're on blood pressure medication, one taco night using a standard seasoning packet could deliver more sodium than your doctor wants you consuming in an entire day. And maltodextrin spikes blood sugar faster than table sugar, which is dangerous for anyone managing diabetes or prediabetes, or families feeding these tacos to kids who are building metabolic habits that will shape their health for decades. Open that packet and really smell it. That sharp chemical tang underneath the cumin isn't spice. That's sodium and fillers doing all the heavy lifting while actual seasoning takes a back seat. Real Mexican seasoning is 4 ingredients: cumin, chili powder, garlic, oregano. The packet has 14. That difference is their profit margin, and your health is paying for it. Authentic flavor, authentically misleading. And here's what really stings. A homemade blend of those 4 real spices costs pennies and takes 30 seconds to mix. The packet costs $2 and gives you 14 chemicals. You're paying more to poison yourself. The next brand on this list is one you'll find in almost every American kitchen, and what's hiding inside will shock you. Number 7. Pre-made boxed taco shells. They sit in your pantry looking harmless, looking like a convenience you've earned after a long day. But most mass-produced taco shells are deep-fried in cheap seed oils, soybean oil, and canola oil, then treated with TBHQ, a synthetic preservative that the National Library of Medicine has flagged for potential immune system effects at high doses. The label won't say deep-fried. It'll say corn, vegetable oil, salt. Simple-sounding words chosen to be deliberately vague. 3 words hiding an industrial frying process and a chemical preservative. Seed oils are highly inflammatory, and chronic inflammation is a root driver of heart disease, joint pain, and even cognitive decline, all conditions that become more aggressive with age. For people already managing arthritis or early memory concerns, or anyone taking daily anti-inflammatory medication alongside other prescriptions, these shells are adding fuel to a fire your body is already fighting. TBHQ adds yet another chemical layer your liver has to process right alongside your daily medications. Your liver is already working overtime. These shells make it work harder. Crack one of those shells in your hand. Notice how it feels almost waxy. That greasy residue left on your fingers isn't from corn. It's from industrial frying oil that's been chemically preserved to sit on a shelf for months without going rancid. A 2021 study published in the journal Nutrients found that regular consumption of foods fried in seed oils was associated with significantly elevated inflammatory markers in adults over 50. Your taco shell is not a neutral container. It's a delivery system for chronic inflammation. You just saw what cheap convenience is really made of. A lot of people switched to frozen options thinking they were avoiding everything we just talked about. They weren't. Number 6. Frozen burritos from major grocery brands. Convenient, cheap, and stamped with promises. Good source of protein, the box declares. But inside that freezer-burned wrapper is a sodium bomb averaging 800 to 1,200 milligrams per single burrito. Some brands tested even higher. Add in the preservatives, the mystery-grade beef that doesn't resemble any meat you'd recognize, and the processed cheese, and you've got a meal that contradicts every single piece of advice your doctor has ever given you. Good source of protein, Good source of sodium poisoning. A single frozen burrito can contain more sodium than 2 full servings of canned soup combined. For anyone managing congestive heart failure or kidney disease, or families grabbing these for a quick weeknight lunch without reading the label, that's not convenience, that's a medical event waiting to happen. Fluid retention, swelling in your ankles, elevated blood pressure, all triggered by a single wrapped package from the freezer aisle. Microwave one and cut it open. Look at what's actually inside. See that grayish meat paste swirled into the beans. Notice how the cheese doesn't melt the way real cheese does. It just softens into a rubbery, glossy blob that stretches like plastic. That's because it's not real cheese. It's processed cheese product held together by sodium and emulsifiers. A 2023 report from the Center for Science in the Public Interest found that frozen burritos ranked among the top 5 most sodium-dense convenience foods sold in American grocery stores. Cheap dinner, expensive hospital bill. That's the real price you're paying. If this is helping you rethink what's in your kitchen, hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these investigations. Number 5 is one most people trust without question. Mass-market jarred salsa. The jar screams fresh and all-natural. The label shows ripe tomatoes and bright, vibrant peppers. But mass-market salsa is one of the sneakiest sodium traps hiding in plain sight in your pantry. A 2-tablespoon serving, which absolutely nobody actually measures out, contains 200 to 300 milligrams of sodium. Eat a normal amount with chips, the way everyone actually eats salsa, and you're easily past 1,000 milligrams before dinner has even started. Fresh and all-natural. Neither word means what you think it does. Excess sodium paired with the acidic nature of tomato-based foods can worsen acid reflux, an issue that already affects more than 20% of adults over 50. For people taking medications like lisinopril or amlodipine, or anyone already battling GERD symptoms while trying to enjoy a simple snack, the sodium content can interfere with those common prescriptions, reducing their effectiveness exactly when you need them most. Compare jarred salsa to fresh salsa side by side. The jarred version has a uniform, paste-like consistency. No crisp onion, no firm pepper, no bright, vivid color. That's because it's been heat processed at extreme temperatures to extend shelf life, killing both the texture and the nutritional value in the process. What you're eating isn't salsa, it's tomato-flavored sodium gel with a picture of fresh vegetables on the label. The next entry on this list was actually flagged by nutritionists as one of the single worst restaurant items for cardiovascular health in America. And it's something millions of people order specifically because they think they're treating themselves to something special. We're not done. The number 4 spot goes to a dish where a single serving can erase an entire day of careful eating. Remember that. Number 4, chimichangas. Restaurant versions and frozen versions are equally guilty. Chimichangas are marketed as a hearty, satisfying meal. What they really are is a deep-fried delivery system for sodium, saturated fat, and refined carbohydrates, all packed into a single plate. A typical restaurant chimichanga clocks in at over 1,500 calories, with 2,000 or more milligrams of sodium and more than 30 grams of saturated fat. Frozen versions from major brands aren't much better, hearty and satisfying. So is a heart attack, very briefly. The saturated fat competes directly with statin medications your doctor prescribed to protect you. The sodium overloads kidneys that are already working at reduced capacity. The refined flour wrapper spikes blood sugar in a way that's especially dangerous for people managing diabetes, or anyone who spent all week eating carefully only to erase every bit of progress with one restaurant order on a Friday night. Watch them pull a chimichanga out of the fryer at a restaurant. See that bubbling, glistening oil dripping off every surface. That's not flavor. That's grease being absorbed into every single layer of that tortilla, and every bite delivers it straight into your bloodstream. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 13 grams of saturated fat per day for heart health. One chimichanga exceeds that by more than double. One plate, one meal, an entire week of careful effort gone. One order undoes everything. And the worst part? Most people have no idea. It was that bad until they see the nutrition facts printed on the menu, if the restaurant even posts them. If any of this is making you rethink what's in your kitchen or what you've been ordering at restaurants, good. That means you're paying attention. There is a fix for this. A simple, practical solution that protects you from the worst of everything we've just covered. But we're saving that for the very end of this video. Most people never learn it. You will, if you stay to the end. The FDA knew about problems with canned Mexican food products for years. They also knew about the next entry on this list, and they did nothing. Number 3, store-bought canned enchilada sauce. You'd think enchilada sauce is straightforward. Just chilies, tomatoes, and spices. But most canned versions are loaded with high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, which has been flagged by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a potential concern, and sodium levels that rival anything you'd find at a fast food drive-thru. One quarter cup serving can contain over 400 milligrams of sodium. Most enchilada recipes call for an entire can, which means one pan of enchiladas delivers a sodium payload your body simply cannot process safely, just chilies and spices, plus corn syrup and a chemical flagged for cancer risk. High fructose corn syrup drives insulin resistance, worsening diabetes outcomes over time. Caramel color contains 4-MeI, a compound linked to increased cancer risk in animal studies. For people managing type 2 diabetes alongside blood pressure concerns or families making a big pan of enchiladas for a weekend dinner thinking they're cooking something wholesome and homemade, the sodium content spread across that entire dish means every single serving is quietly undermining your medication and your health goals. Pour canned enchilada sauce into a white bowl and let it sit for a minute. Notice how thick and syrupy it looks compared to anything you'd ever make from scratch with real dried chili peppers. That stickiness isn't from chilies or tomatoes. It's from corn syrup and chemical thickeners masking the complete absence of real ingredients. Real enchilada sauce is thin, bright red, and smells like toasted peppers. The canned version smells like a processing plant. Wholesome family dinner. Chemical-laced imposter. See the pattern here? Budget products cut corners with chemicals. Restaurant dishes hide behind massive portion sizes. So where does that leave the basic staples, the everyday cheese and canned chili sitting in your refrigerator right now? Let's find out. This next one has a loyal fan base that swears by it for convenience. What the actual test results show is a very different story. Number 2. Pre-packaged Mexican-style shredded cheese blends. Convenient, pre-shredded, and marketed as the perfect topping for any Mexican dish. But that bag of shredded cheese contains cellulose powder. That's refined wood pulp, used as an anti-clumping agent. Plus, natamycin, a pharmaceutical antifungal compound, and potato starch as additional filler. A Bloomberg investigation found that some popular store-brand shredded cheeses contained far more cellulose filler than their labels indicated. Some testing at nearly double the acceptable level. You're paying for cheese. You're getting sawdust. Perfect for any Mexican dish. Perfectly dishonest. The added sodium from the processing and preservation means pre-shredded cheese has significantly more sodium per serving than the exact same cheese bought in block form and grated at home. For people managing blood pressure who top every taco and quesadilla with a generous handful of shredded cheese, or families going through 2 or 3 bags a week without ever questioning what's actually inside, this silent sodium bump adds up fast across every single meal. Natamycin, while FDA approved, is technically classified as an antibiotic, and repeated low-dose antibiotic exposure from food is a growing concern for gut health and antibiotic resistance, especially in older adults already dealing with digestive complications and weakened immune responses. Rub pre-shredded cheese between your fingers. Feel that dry, powdery coating that shouldn't be there. That's cellulose and starch. Now, grate cheese fresh from a block and feel the difference. Night and day. One feels like actual food. The other feels like it came straight out of a factory because it did. If companies are willing to fill your cheese with wood pulp and print the word natural on the bag, what else do you think they're slipping into your food without telling you? Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. That's 10 entries down. 10 foods you've probably bought this month without a second thought. But number 1 is the one that changes everything. Number 1. Canned chili with Mexican-style seasoning. This is the one that made us stop and rethink everything we thought we knew. This is the food that sits in nearly every American pantry, marketed with words like hearty, wholesome, and protein-packed. And it is quite possibly the single most dangerous everyday food for anyone over 50 on this entire list. A single can from leading national brands can contain over 2,500 milligrams of sodium. Let that number sink in. That is more than the entire daily recommended sodium limit for adults managing hypertension, crammed into one single can. Hearty and wholesome. 2,500 milligrams of silent damage sitting on your shelf. At that sodium level, this product is a direct and immediate threat to anyone on blood pressure medication, kidney medication, or heart medication. Your body cannot flush that much sodium efficiently, especially as kidney function naturally declines with age, which it does for everyone. The consequences are real and measurable. Fluid retention, visible swelling in your legs and ankles, dangerous blood pressure spikes that can trigger emergency events, and potential medication interference that can throw your entire treatment plan into chaos. For people on potassium-sparing diuretics who are carefully managing electrolyte balance, or families who keep 3 or 4 cans of chili stocked in the pantry for easy weeknight meals, the combination of extreme sodium and processed potassium additives in canned chili can create electrolyte imbalances severe enough to send people to the hospital. Open a can and really look at what's inside. Study it. That thick, sludgy texture that barely moves when you tilt the can. The meat that's been pressure cooked into gray mush. The beans that are borderline disintegrating into paste. Now taste it. That overwhelming salty metallic flavor coating your entire mouth isn't seasoning. That's the taste of sodium doing all the work, because the actual ingredients have been processed beyond recognition. This is not food. This is a cardiovascular event in a pull-tab can. The 2022 American Journal of Hypertension study confirmed it directly. Ultra-processed canned foods and hypertension risk, linked, documented, published, and still sitting on every grocery shelf in America. And most people eat it multiple times a month without a single second thought about what it's doing inside their body. That's the full list. 11 Mexican foods that millions of people eat every single week without ever questioning what's really inside. And every one of them is working against your health in ways the labels will never honestly tell you. But don't walk away from this video thinking you have to give up Mexican food entirely. Remember earlier when I said there were 2 options that actually passed every test? When I told you there was a solution, a real way to still enjoy the flavors you love without putting your health at risk? Here it is. The first safe option is homemade pico de gallo. Fresh tomatoes, diced onion, cilantro, a jalapeno, fresh lime juice, and a small pinch of salt that you control. That's the entire recipe. No preservatives, no hidden sodium bombs, no corn syrup, no chemicals you can't pronounce. You control every single ingredient that goes into the bowl. It takes 5 minutes to make and gives you all the flavor of Mexican food with none of the risk. For anyone on blood pressure medication or watching their sodium intake, this is the swap that changes everything. The crunch of fresh onion, the brightness of real lime juice, the clean heat from a jalapeno you sliced yourself. That's what Mexican food is actually supposed to taste like. Pair it with baked corn tortilla chips, and you have a snack that's genuinely heart-healthy. Not just the kind of heart-healthy that a marketing team printed on a label. The second safe option is black beans, dried and home-cooked, or low-sodium canned if you're short on time. When you cook dried black beans yourself, you get 0 added sodium, 0 preservatives, and one of the best sources of fiber and plant-based protein available anywhere. A single cup of home-cooked black beans delivers 15 grams of fiber. That's over half the daily recommendation for adults over 50, plus meaningful amounts of potassium, magnesium, and folate. If you buy canned, look for varieties labeled no salt added and rinse them thoroughly before serving. That one simple switch, from processed refried beans to whole black beans, can cut your sodium intake by over 80% in a single side dish. That's the fix I promised you. You don't have to give up Mexican food. You just have to know which ingredients are lying to you and which ones are actually working for your body. Homemade. Simple ingredients. Full control. That's how you protect yourself and the people you love. 11 foods exposed. 2 real solutions. 1 kitchen that deserves a second look tonight. Subscribe now, and if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.